G2 has just crowned themselves the champions of the London Major. And in today's video, we'll be learning some very important lessons that you can use to improve your game right from the gameplay of our major champions. So for these very important examples, we are going to be taking a look through the eyes of Beast Mode here. So there's going to be 6 different moments that we're going to want to take a look at, which will encompass 3 very important ideas, which can help you rank up if you apply them to your own game. So in this first example here, we're going to be taking a look at the importance of recognizing space. So as we see here, Beast Mode is going to be moving up the field relatively quickly, just going to be hanging out in the midfield here as a clear is coming back out to the corner. Daniel goes ahead and cuts that ball off, and now here's the very important moment. So Beast Mode here has quite a few options. He could just try to bang this ball into the corner and dish it out mid. He could try to control the ball up the wall and try to get it out mid. But the issue with that first idea is if we bang the ball off the corner, we've just seen both our first and second teammates challenged in this corner, so they're not really going to be in great positions to be able to play a pass coming through from us. And more than likely, if we play it off the corner, it's just going to become a clear for the Falcons defense. So, okay, what if we try to catch this ball and dribble it around the wall? Well, that's not a terrible idea, but with TRK sitting right here, he can very easily drive up the wall and just get a very easy challenge, and it would not be very threatening at all. So this isn't really a situation where Beast Mode can do anything to threaten the Falcons defense. So instead, what he's going to do is he's going to try to make them as awkward as possible by simply letting this ball come down and taking it up into a very awkward, very slow air dribble that will have all of the Falcons defenders wondering what the heck is going on. So as we're going to see here, Beast Mode lets the ball come down. It bounces right in front of him. Now he has TRK going to the backboard. Into the air he goes. So he now has all 3 Falcons defenders kind of shading out towards this corner. And now utilizing the mechanics of Beast Mode, he can actually get around a couple of them, but eventually it does fall to Falcons' control. But the important thing of all this is that we're not just putting the ball in spots where we're handing it away to the defenders. We are trying to make their lives as awkward as possible to give our teams the best chance to set up so that we can then block the Falcons' transition out of the defensive half. Because as we roll this forward, we can see that now we have all 3 defenders ready to go. So now this isn't threatening at all, and Beast Mode can again just focus on taking control when a very weak shot comes through from the Falcons offense. Now for moment 2 here, we want to talk about some off-ball play. So what we're going to see here is Beast Mode chilling in the backfield, watching the Falcons start to transition downfield. TRK is going to go ahead and get a fairly loose touch, and immediately Beast Mode is going to recognize the awkward position of TRK's car to realize that if he jumps immediately, he probably has a win on this ball with simply how awkward TRK is. So utilizing that information, Beast Mode jumps up very quickly and is going to be able to go ahead and get the block, but is not really going to be able to stay on the ball as he just kind of hits into the sidewall. So admittedly, possibly not the most fantastic touch coming out of Beast Mode there, but he does get the first Falcons player off of the ball, which is always a good thing. So now he's going to go ahead and land, and as he lands, a lot of players in this situation might just say, okay, we're out of the play, we have 2 defenders back, let's just go ahead and rotate out here, let them go ahead and challenge, and we'll worry about playing off of those challenges as we get back. But instead, Beast Mode is going to recognize that Ruwas is attempting to take control of this ball, and he's going to say, no, we're not allowing that. We can see from the positioning of the Falcons offense that we have one opponent really deep in the corner over here, and another running forward for a demo. So what that means is if we can get Ruwas off of this ball, we now create a very easy open net opportunity for our squad. And that is exactly what he's going to do, recognizing that if he leaves, he's just going to be useless in the play. So instead, he's going to do what he can to be as useful as possible. Recognize Ruwas trying to take control, get that out of here. Daniel's going to now be able to walk on forward and just slot that ball into the open net. But that's all based on Beast Mode's mentality to make sure that even after he goes for a challenge, he is doing something that will make him useful in the play. And that's a very big mentality for us to have in our own games, because the more often we can be involved in the play, the more impact we can have, and the better result we can expect. if we're spending a lot of time out of the play, we're simply not contributing to our team's efforts to win as much as we'd like. This next example is going to cover two of our ideas. We're again going to touch on some off-ball play, and we'll also focus on Beast Mode's incredible patience around the field. So once again, here we have ourselves pushing into the offensive half. This ball is going to come bouncing off the backboard. Now, admittedly, if we look at the position of the defense, they are a bit awkward because this ball is going to be coming from over their shoulder. So if you know anything about being in net when the ball is bouncing off the backboard over your shoulder, it's a really difficult ball to read. So in this position, Beast Mode could get a little antsy and just try to rush right away to try to catch these guys in an awkward spot. But he's immediately going to realize, okay, hold on, my teammate's in the air, we're up by 2 with under 3 minutes to go. There's no reason for me to throw myself at a ball that I don't have a 100% guarantee of winning. What if I do the opposite of what my opponents might be expecting? Because in this situation, it is perfectly reasonable for these players to expect a challenge to be coming in. So if they expect a challenge to come in, if I just sit back patiently, they might just hand the ball to me. And even if they don't, if they end up taking good control, I can then just like fake challenge or even real challenge if I feel like it, but I've still kept my options open as opposed to just diving in immediately where I eliminate all my options in the play. So Beast Mode here is going to utilize that patience to just see, okay, bounce coming through, clears up the wall, not going to get the touch, TRK quite awkward. You can see Beast Mode is now backed off slightly, but now when this touch from TRK comes out, it is just a completely free ball for Beast Mode to play with. So we've baited Falcons there into giving us the ball by doing absolutely nothing but just sitting and waiting for them to hand it to us. So always look for those situations when you recognize your opponents might be in a bit of an awkward spot to just let them mess themselves up. Because if they think a challenge is going to be coming in, they are much more likely to panic in those situations and just simply hand the ball to you, which honestly is a lot easier than having to win it off them in a challenge. So Beast Mode here gonna get control, and this immediately turns into a very dangerous offensive opportunity, which Clears does a fantastic job of defending. So now, we land, we're on 0 boost, and this is when again we're gonna talk about off-ball play. So right here, again, we could just pick to go down this mid line of boost, see where this ball is going. If it's going down this way, we can go over here. If the ball ends up going to this side, we can go and cut back the other way, just thinking, okay, we'll give space to our team. But instead, Beast Mode is going to recognize that if he pushes aggressively up the field, he can make life very awkward for the approaching Falcons offense. We're going to see right here that he immediately starts flipping towards the mid boost, and he actually gets himself in a bit of a race with TRK. But you can see the boost amounts here on the side of Falcons are all fairly low, except for Rawas. So what that means is if we can make sure that TRK cannot get boosted up, we've now made their offense a lot less potent because they simply won't have the boost to sustain it. So knowing that, Beast Mode is going to do everything he can to try to push for that mid boost to cut off this offense before it can even begin. And as we'll see here, he's going to go ahead and just get underneath TRK to trip him up just a little bit. So now not only has he denied this pass that went across the field from being under TRK's possession, but he's also denied the boost from TRK as well, and he has completely shut down all offense here from Falcons before it can even begin, because now Rawas is the only one with substantial boost. So now G2 can easily get up to these challenges and get the clear right back out without any issue at all. So make sure on your rotations, much like Beast Mode here, you again look for what you can do to be useful for your team. Sure, you can just rotate out of the play, but there's an awful lot that you can do off the ball to honestly make your opponent's life quite miserable while supporting your team even when you're not actively playing the ball. So look for those opportunities as they are extremely beneficial. Now, going back to control here, Beast Mode is going to see maybe if he can catch this ball. Sure, there might be a challenge coming in, but again, he's kind of playing on what his opponents are most likely to think he's going to do. So in a situation like this, where any player would probably expect there to be a challenge, Beast Mode is going to utilize that information to do the opposite of what his opponents might expect. So rather than try to jump up and just get a touch on this ball to take out one player, Beast Mode is just going to sit underneath it and let this first challenge go flying by, as TRK does, probably having expected Beast Mode to do something with that ball a little earlier instead of just letting it bounce. And now Beast Mode is kind of going to start toying with the Falcons defense, and this entire play is going to be built on the idea that we want to get as much out of one player on the ball as possible. The more Beast Mode can do on this ball before the Falcons are able to take it off of him, the more awkward he makes this Falcons defense overall, and the harder he makes it for the Falcons to be able to transition back to offense. So we'll see, Beast Mode in this play is really not going to make any move to try to score. He's purely just delaying time and trying to get the ball around as many players as possible, which is a fantastic strategy. So you see, he recognized space. Let's go ahead and control this. Take the ball past the first challenger. Now we got the ball in the air and we can push it through the second with the 50-50. So we've now taken 2 opponents out of the game and have just left TRK alone. He could go get Big Boost here, but again, in the second he would go get Big Boost, TRK would identify that and be able to take the space and take control of the ball. So instead, Beast Mode is going to play with the minimal boost he has to continue to apply pressure here to TRK. He's going to go ahead and catch the ball again and put TRK in a very awkward spot as Beast Mode tries to bring the ball around the corner, finally now relinquishing control of the ball back to the Falcons. But that took a good, 10 seconds for him to lose possession of this ball from this point on, and that is 10 seconds that the Falcons defense is kind of scrambling around, wondering what the heck is going on. So obviously most players are not going to have the kind of control that Beast Mode does in this play, but the important thing is being able to recognize when it is smart to take possession of the ball and just try as much as you can to get as much out of that play as possible. Even if it's just a catch into a single 50-50, you still have gained more control of that play than you would have had if you had just popped the ball away from yourself and not kept control at all. Looking at our final example here, we're again going to be touching on Beast Mode's patience for the second time. So we're going to start with a bit of a not so good patience, probably a miscomm there between Beast Mode and Daniel. Not really sure how that went, but you know, we recovered back. We're up by 2 with just over a minute to go, so not the end of the world, and Beast Mode does get a touchback out. So we're going to go ahead and rotate back here. Nothing really for us to do. But now right here, here's where we're going to see some fantastic patience. And this is pretty much the best idea on how to defend an air dribble at the highest level of Rocket League. So we can see Beast Mode is sitting a pretty good distance away from this ball, just sitting on the ground facing the play, waiting to see what happens. We're going to have Daniel here ahead of us. And now the key to defending these air dribbles is you want to have one player who can jump up to force this guy off the ball so that this guy can then just take over possession at the time that the ball falls to him. So this is going to be beautiful execution on this play from the G2 players, because we'll see Daniel jump up, get this challenge on Rawas. Rawas tries to go over the top, but Daniel does cut it off. Beast Mode is going to be super fast into the air, recognizing that there's no play on the ball from either of these 2 players, and if he goes fast, he will absolutely beat Clears to this challenge. So he is immediately going to recognize that he is next up on this ball. If he just goes, he's going to absolutely dust Clears into the air, and because we got Clears to jump, we now have a wide open backboard, which Beast Mode is going to take to slot that one home and pretty much ice the championship for G2. So the big thing about these ideas is that obviously we are not going to be able to do them to as high a level as Beast Mode. But just because we can't do them to as high a level does not mean we cannot get use out of these ideas. So make sure as you're playing your own games that you're really focusing on these 3 things. Off the ball play, making sure that you're not being useless and just moving around the field willy-nilly, doing nothing with your time. There's more often than not something you can do on the field, even when you're not directly impacting the ball, to help your team out. So look for those opportunities to give yourself the best chance to be successful. Secondly, patience is absolutely huge. Just making sure that we are waiting for a good opportunity to challenge the ball. You very rarely want to jump into the play when there's not a whole lot to gain from it. If you are throwing yourself into a play that you can't really get a lot out of, you are simply taking yourself out of the play and leaving your team in a bit of an awkward situation. And lastly, and probably the most important thing that you can do in your own games, is recognize the space you have. So many players have a bad habit of just popping the ball away consistently, and all that does is just hand the ball over to your opponents, and if you allow them to control the ball more than your team controls the ball, you are simply giving them way too many opportunities to win the game. If you guys focus on these 3 things, you're not going to be able to play exactly like Beast Mode, but you will certainly give yourselves a much better chance to win games. Of course, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate each and every one of you who made it to this point in the video, and I do hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. If you did, make sure you click that subscribe button right down below so you make sure you don't miss any future Rocket League content. Additionally, if you'd like to be a bit more involved in the community we're building here, feel free to join my Discord, which I'll have linked down in the description. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. See you later, guys.